Welcome back. In a special report here on the Cryptoviser podcast, we're going to be discussing why Bitfarms, along with the other Bitcoin mining companies that pivoted to AI, are highly undervalued. Now that we're in the fourth quarter of 2025, Bitfarms has now printed more blue diamonds. What does this mean for the stock? What does this mean for the industry? And what does this mean for our investment thesis and portfolios? That's what we're going to be discussing in today's video, along with the other Bitcoin mining companies that have pivoted to AI and AI infrastructure as the stock markets and crypto markets are hitting all-time record highs. What is in store for this industry? Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. We upload every single day of the year to bring you the latest happening in the financial world. Also, give the video a free thumbs up. We're going to be starting right here because on this channel, right on my YouTube community page, just go to youtube.com/thecryptoviser or click my logo down below. Click on the posts tab and you can see all of the posts that we put up. And you can see in August, just a few months ago from when I'm recording this video, I posted this chart and it says, the cleanest chart I've ever seen. Comment if you're bullish on this. And it's a chart of the zoomed out Bitfarms price activity. And I wrote double bottom is confirmed. And you can see a very clear W pattern here that posted basically in the middle of 2025 into the second half of 2025. I've never seen a chart that looked like this. I've never seen a chart that double bottomed in this clean of a fashion. And this is amidst the pivot to AI. And so what is the W pattern? Well, the W pattern was a double bottom, is a technical analysis indicator used in financial markets to identify potential bullish reversals within a downtrend. It is formed by two distinct price lows separated by a central high, resembling the letter W when visualized on the price chart. These lows should be roughly the same level, indicating a level of support where purchasers stepped in to prevent further price decline. And that's exactly what we saw, right? We saw the price hit 70 cents and then 70 cents again, and that was the double bottom. By the way, it was also basically under $1 billion in valuation. I mean, just their Bitcoin mining business, I think, should and probably was worth at least $1 billion. I think their Bitcoin holdings is around 5,000, but it doesn't matter at this point because their business, while they're going to continue to mine Bitcoin, they're not expanding their Bitcoin mining operation at this point. Now their focus is very similar to these other Bitcoin mining companies like Iris Energy as they're moving into the AI infrastructure world. Now, what's really important to understand is in the previous cycles in 2021, at the end of the bull market, most of these Bitcoin mining companies, TeraWulf, Riot Platforms, Core Scientific, these companies were basically just wanted to keep expanding their Bitcoin operations. And that's literally what they were doing, right? At the end of 2021, most of the Bitcoin mining companies were pre-ordering and prepaying for Bitcoin mining machines at the top of the market. They were selling their Bitcoin or holding, a lot of them actually held their Bitcoin. They were taking out debt to buy these Bitcoin mining machines. Then they got delivered in the bear market in 2022 when Bitcoin prices were down, when energy costs were higher, and when they still had a lot of their Bitcoin that they started selling. So they were selling Bitcoin at the bottom of the market. They were receiving Bitcoin mining machines at the bottom of the market. They were turning these Bitcoin mining machines on when the electricity costs were at like multi-year highs. This was so bearish for the Bitcoin mining industry. And I kept questioning on this channel, if you guys have been around that long, let me know in the comments down below. But on this channel, I was saying like, did none of these CEOs think that we were going to be in a bear market? And so obviously there was a great buying opportunities there, right? A lot of my viewers we were in Core Scientific before the reorganization, when they were in bankruptcy. The stock price went down to 5 cents. But I told my viewers, BlackRock and B. Riley, two major creditors, you guys know BlackRock, they were promising basically to bail out Core Scientific once they went into bankruptcy. So the stock price went down to 5 cents. I'm like, guys, BlackRock is going to back them. So obviously this is going to be fine. Sure enough, Look at Core Scientific today. Now, you guys have to remember it was I think a 10-to-1 stock split. So basically $1.70 at the adjusted price, right? Would that make sense? I may be doing that incorrectly, but I think it's about $1.70. So if you just take $1.70 and you divide it by 5 cents, that's a 34x, right? 34x at a minimum, right? So if you put $1,000 in, you now have $34,000. If you put $100,000 in, you'd have $3.4 million. So yeah, there were great opportunities then. But in this cycle, in 2024, 2025, I said to my viewers, guys, we really have to keep an eye out for what these Bitcoin mining companies are going to do. Because if they don't sell their Bitcoin at all-time highs, and if they don't pivot to, think about the bear market, they're going to be screwed again. And that's what we saw. I mean, Marathon Digital, one of the largest Bitcoin mining companies, literally at record highs, they were taking out debt to buy 50,000 Bitcoin or 40,000 Bitcoin, right? Their business is to produce Bitcoin, to mine Bitcoin. And they were taking out debt to purchase Bitcoin at all-time record highs. That didn't make sense, right? But a lot of these other companies, like Iris Energy, like Riot Platforms, like TeraWulf, like Bitfarms, pivoted to AI. Because AI infrastructure and Bitcoin mining, it's basically almost the same thing, right? You're running computers, you're running servers. So you need the same type of infrastructure, the bandwidth, the power, the facilities, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a very easy pivot. But not all of them did this at the right times. And what we have seen Bitfarms doing is, number one, closing out their overseas business. They sold some of their facilities in South America. They purchased facilities in the United States. And just recently we heard from Ben, the CEO of Bitfarms, that they opened an office in New York. And by the middle of 2026, they are going to re-domicile as a Canadian company, which currently Bitfarms is a Canadian company. They're going to re-domicile into the United States, which is going to unlock massive amounts of capital, because the US is in a race right now for AI dominance. And to have AI dominance, we're seeing a lot of focus on NVIDIA, on OpenAI, on xAI, on Google's Gemini, and all of these front-end software, the large language models that are the AI. But behind the scenes, they need massive amounts of power, massive facilities to run all of this AI compute. And they don't really want to deal with it, right? And how do we know that? Well, they're not dealing with it. They're letting these companies deal with it. We just heard TeraWulf is now 15% ownership of TeraWulf is Google. Google bought 15% of the stock and signed something like an 80-year lease agreement to utilize their infrastructure. So Google needs the data centers, but they either can't access it that quick, or they're just they're in such a race to dominate that they need infrastructure that's already set up. That's why they're making these agreements. We also just recently saw Iris Energy securing a multi-year AI cloud contract. And this is to basically get revenue and lease out their GPUs. And this is also really big, right? And Iris Energy is one of the biggest companies that are benefiting from this. I mean, the stock price of Iris Energy, just from the middle of 2025 until basically Q4 of 2025, 6 months, the stock has basically gone up 10x, 1,000%. And so Iris Energy is setting the standard right now in terms of market capitalization, that any of these AI pivot companies that have infrastructure and large power supplies and pipelines for more power, these companies should be minimum double-digit billions of dollars. How long that's going to last, I don't know. But right now, this is the standard. And there's a lot of companies that are under this double-digit billions of dollars in valuation. Riot Platforms, only $7 billion. Marathon Digital, under $10 billion. Cypher Mining, under $10 billion. And then we have Bitfarms, way under $10 billion, right? Right now it's 2.7 billion Canadian, so about 2 billion US, maybe about 2.2 billion US. But that means that these companies that are under 10 billion should at least be 10 billion based on revaluations and the demand being so high and the supply being so little for AI infrastructure. So what does this mean? Well, this means that there's still a huge runway ahead. And what else are they doing, right? We know Bitfarms is expanding their AI operations. We know that they have some of the largest energy pipeline, meaning new energy that's going to be coming online for their infrastructure and their data centers. Who needs that? All the AI companies. And the AI companies effectively have blank checks, right? I mean, they have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it. We have OpenAI investing in AMD investing back in OpenAI, then investing in NVIDIA, and then NVIDIA investing in Open. It's like a flywheel of investing in each other because they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. And so what does that mean? That means that companies like Bitfarms, Iris Energy, Riot Platforms, it's their market. They can charge any price and they're going to get it, right? I don't know how long this is going to last, right? Because as supply ramps up and it starts to reach where the demand is, supply-demand imbalance is where we're at right now, right? Huge demand, very little supply. Once that balances out, this could take multiple years, if not longer. Then we'll start to see, the prices coming down. But until then, it's game on. It's game on. And so in my view, especially the fact that I believe that the crypto market the cycle is coming to an end at the end of 2025, the pivot is here. And it's been here. But so few people know about it. So little of Wall Street actually knows about it. But look at what the charts are doing. We've been talking about these blue diamonds for a while. Well, one of the Bitfarms fanboys, analysts, I don't know, he said 2 new blue diamonds have printed on Bitfarms. If they're validated and we stay there after the close, we're shooting straight for $7 bonus points if we close above resistance. And remember, while the Bitcoin treasury companies like MicroStrategy, Nakamoto, all these other companies, they're selling shares in the open market to raise money. They have no cash flow. We have companies like Bitfarms that is actually buying back their stock, right? If you guys are not aware, Riot Platforms in 2024 bought I think a 20% stake in Bitfarms because they were trying to take over the company. And Bitfarms is like, no, we're a valid company. We're growing. We're going to do fine. We don't need Riot to purchase us. And by the way, Riot wanted to purchase them for $2.30. Well, Riot Platforms in 2025 started to sell off their position. And so that caused a lot of selling pressure and potentially brought us to that double bottom chart that I showed you. And this is when they announced that they're going to start buying back the stock because they knew how much of the sell pressure was coming from Riot Platforms. So all they would have to do is counter that with the buybacks to level the price and let everything be more bullish. And that's what we're seeing. Well, what are these blue diamonds? The bullish blue diamond pattern refers to a diamond bottom pattern, which is a rare chart pattern that signals a bullish reversal at the end of a downtrend. It forms when the price volatility initially expands, creating a broadening wedge, and then contracts to form a symmetrical diamond shape, with a breakout above the upper trend line confirming the reversal and a subsequent upward price movement. And that's exactly what we've seen, right? The pattern begins after a significant downtrend where prices are making lower lows and higher highs. We've seen that in Bitfarms. The first phase features increasing volatility, with price swings becoming larger as swing highs rise and swing lows fall. Volatility then decreases as the price action consolidates, forming a symmetrical diamond-shaped pattern with higher lows and lower highs. The volume typically increases during the widening phase and decreases as the pattern narrows, then increases again on the breakout. And the bullish reversal is confirmed when the price breaks decisively above the upper resistance line of the diamond, preferably with increasing volume. And so what we have been seeing with Bitfarms is exactly this, right? We had a double bottom. It's very hard to see on this chart. I should have pulled up a trading view, but you can see that we had this double bottom, right? A lot of this, I think, was sell-off, Riot Platforms selling their position, and just kind of the Bitcoin mining industry. People didn't really have confidence in it, right? Everything was focused on the Bitcoin treasury companies this cycle. And then we had a reversal and then a downtrend again, more Riot Platforms selling their shares. And then this is when we started to see some changes. We started to see the buybacks coming from Bitfarms. We started to hear more and see more of their AI pivot. And the AI companies started to get tens or hundreds of billions of dollars of just blank checks. Like, here's money, make this AI work. And that was the shift in my view. I mean, we're not just seeing it with Bitfarms. We're seeing it with Iris Energy, with Riot Platforms, with Marathon Digital, maybe not as much because Marathon is late to the party when it comes to AI. But Cypher Mining, same type of situation. Look at the 1-year chart on Cypher Mining. Clean Spark, same situation. So they all were following the same pattern if they made the pivot to AI and have been working on their AI infrastructure for a while. And now the market is pricing other things in. And specifically for Bitfarms, Bitfarms has some of it. First of all, it's the most undervalued from a market cap perspective, right? $2.2 billion US, when most of these other ones are closer or above $5 billion. But now with Iris Energy getting these deals and Iris Energy hitting, a 10x over the last 6 months or so and hitting $15 or $16 billion in market cap, this, in my view, is resetting the valuations for these companies, where they, at a minimum, should be worth double-digit billions of dollars, meaning 10 billion or more from a market cap perspective. And that's because of the demand. That's because these kind of announcements that we're seeing from AI companies like TeraWulf getting Google, Iris Energy getting this multi-year AI cloud deal, Cypher Mining getting a deal with Google, right? That's not stopping because the demand is increasing. And so the market is pricing in my view, these undervalued plays for potential deals. Because there's only so many data centers that these AI companies can go to, and they don't have a choice. They need the data centers. They need the power. They need the bandwidth. And so right now, all of these AI plays, the pivots to AI from Bitcoin mining, this is potentially one of the most bullish things that we've seen in years. I mean, we are, in my view, potentially at the beginning phase of this mega multi-year bull run for AI companies. And a lot of people are still chasing Bitcoin, right? Oh, Bitcoin's going to $1 million this cycle. No, it's not. No, it's not, right? They're still chasing the first cycle of Bitcoin, the gains that we saw then, right? Where we saw, thousands of percent gains in a very short period of time. But as you guys can see, from the first cycle to the second cycle to the third cycle to now the fourth cycle in Bitcoin, every cycle has had diminishing returns, lower percentage gains in the previous cycle, because you have more players, the demand is less, the wealth is more distributed. And that's what I'm talking about with the Bitcoin mining company and AI companies as well. Right now, the demand is so high and the supply is so low. But in a few years, that will balance out and we'll have way more supply and probably way more demand as well, but they'll be more balanced. And so those companies, right, in 3-4 years from now, will have diminishing returns as well. Doesn't mean that they're not going to still be great returns. They're just not going to be like what we're seeing now at the beginning stages of this new AI infrastructure play. And so with that, the reason I think Bitfarms is highly undervalued is because number one, they have one of the biggest energy pipelines in existence. They're building out the facilities. They already have everything set up. They're just they just have to build it. Where a lot of these other companies, they don't have that. They don't have the regulatory approvals they need, or the infrastructure they need, or the plans they need just yet. They're getting there, right? And that's why we're seeing all these companies expanding very rapidly, some more rapidly than others. But for Bitfarms, because they're not a US-based company, they're not getting as much liquidity as a lot of the US-based companies. And so hearing from the CEO of Bitfarms that they're going to be coming to the US by the middle of 2026, this puts Bitfarms in the same category as these other Bitcoin mining companies, which should be in double-digit billions of dollars in market cap, 10 billion at a minimum, right? And again, these are just my opinions and my analysis. And so this is why I think we're seeing these blue diamonds forming, because people are starting to price in these contracts getting signed, these agreements getting signed with AI companies, and the revenue that they're going to be making to be able to then go and further expand their operations again. And so if we believe, and I personally do, that Bitfarms and all of these companies, Riot Platform, CipherMine, and CleanSpark, should be over $10 billion at a minimum, that means that we should at least get to a 4x price from here to get from about 2.2 billion US to 10 billion US. So if we take $3.35 and we multiply that by 4, that would put us at a $13 valuation. And if we get to $15 billion, which is how much Iris Energy is, that would put us at about 15 divided by 2.2 is 6.8. Multiply that by 3.38, $23 valuation. And a lot of people say this is not possible, or Cryptoviser being too bullish. Look at Iris Energy from May, $6.30 to today at $60. It's a 9x, almost a 10x, right? If you go a little bit before that, you can see in April, $5.30 to where we are today. It's a 10x. And so we're already there. Like, it's already happening. And this cycle is different because these Bitcoin mining companies have sustainable growth businesses that they are pivoting into, versus in the previous cycle, doubling and tripling down on Bitcoin mining as we went into a bear market with lower crypto prices and higher energy prices. It bankrupted many of them. And so they're not doing that again. And that's why I think Bitfarms, along with many of these other Bitcoin mining companies, are the most highly undervalued stocks in the market right now. Because regardless of whether OpenAI is the best AI or Google Gemini is the best or whatever, they all need the infrastructure. And so this is selling the picks and the shovels to these companies that are building this new technology. And they need to use it. They don't have a choice. Let me know what you guys think. Are you as bullish as I am on all of these Bitcoin mining companies that pivoted to AI and the AI infrastructure plays? Do you think that these blue diamonds that are printing on the Bitfarms chart are an indicator of major moves to come? And if so, let me know what your price predictions are for Iris Energy, Riot Platforms, Cipher Mining, Bitfarms, CleanSpark, TeraWolf, and more. I'll see you guys on the next video. Give the video a thumbs up while you're down there commenting. Check out my other videos on Bitfarms, and make sure you guys go over to this post here on my YouTube page and give it a thumbs up, because I think we're the only channel here on YouTube that called Bitfarms before, or I should say at the double bottom. See you guys on the next video. Crypto on.